Hey, everybody, and welcome to the first class charter hour. I am here with Mr. Bill Adams himself, Mr. Chris Davis, and Mr. Adam Wagner. How are y'all?
Good.
Doing great.
Great. Give me some more than that. Come on. You're great. What's great
Some
about
applause or something?
Yeah, we're glad to see you.
it? Absolutely. So, first class charter. Tell me a little bit about that. Well, this is we're usually doing the Rent Right Radio Hour, but we're jumping in for first class for the month of April. So, tell me what's going on.
We wanted to promote First Class Charter and let our community know what First Class is and just how appreciative we are of our traveling public.
Right.
And First Class Charter was founded in 2007 by my wife and I, Jimmy Ann, and we saw a need for motor coach transportation in our area, and we decided we'd give it a try.
Right? Absolutely. So how long have each of you been in this business?
Since '07, we
Since
started
07?
with a single bus in those days, and greenhorn, didn't know what we were doing, and just hopped in. What about you, Chris?
So I started out in the business in 1996 as a driver. Worked my way through on and off to about 2009, 2010, moved in and have been in the office running operations ever since.
All right. And Adam, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do?
Well, I am a tour operator out of Hendersonville, Tennessee, and I'll get into the long form story a little bit later. But I've been doing this for about 8 years now, and we facilitate tours all across the United States, from here to California to Alaska, Hawaii, international tours. But we'll find out a little bit more about that a little bit later.
Absolutely. So, Chris, tell us a little bit about the difference between like a motor coach, a bus that we're talking about here, and say like a school bus.
Sure. So our motor coaches are all air conditioned. They hold 56 people. They have high back, comfortable, cushioned, reclining seats. They have TVs, DVD players. We've stepped into the world of Roku streaming TV, Wi-Fi, and of course the vehicle itself is taller, longer, and wider than a school bus. Has luggage space underneath, and they have air ride suspensions for a smoother ride. Okay. So if you've ever ridden on one, you know what that air ride suspension's all about, for sure, compared to a school bus.
Right, absolutely. So what kind of tours is First Class like really into? What are y'all looking to do with kind of trips that y'all book?
The first there's four major areas that we cover. Adam's industry is one of them, tourism. We'll talk about that in detail in just a few minutes. Also sports. We do a lot of collegiate sports, high school sports, from basketball, football type trips to tennis, all different ones. We work for customers like North Alabama, MTSU, all the way up to UT Martin, and then we do a lot of fly-in work where they'll fly into Nashville or Huntsville or Birmingham. Pickup groups or teams like University of Florida or maybe South Carolina, University of Missouri. We've had all those just recently moving around and as customers. So that's an area. One that we're super proud of is being able to serve our country through Department of Defense. We're one of around 350 what we call DoD certified carriers, and the military and any type of defense, government defense, they have to use one of these particular providers. So it's another level of certification, and we're proud of that. And we also do some business travel where clients would call and they may need to move a group of business people, maybe to an airport, out to a factory. And so that's basically what we do for the different types of customers that we serve.
Absolutely. So, Chris, about how many tours or how many trips do y'all go through a year? Just off the top of your head.
We came up with a number at the end of the year, and I'm trying to remember. I know we do about 400. Excuse me. We do about 435,000 miles a year. We carried about just a round estimate of 35,000 passengers last year.
Wow.
So
It's 1,200 or 1,500
12 or 1,500
trips,
trips,
something like that we do a year.
That's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy. So how many tours? I know you go all over the country, but what do you think yours is, Adam?
So we try to average at least one per month in between the months of March and December. We kind of take January, February off, but only because we can't do January and February because of the winter months, and it's very tough to do that.
Right.
Pretty much, but we tend to try to do at least one, and right now we're averaging 1 to 2 per month, which is huge for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go into some more of the destinations. We've hit them in passing, but let's go into some more of the destinations where we like to go, all those kind of things.
Hayes, Kansas.
That was a joke a while ago. It's
Hayes, Kansas.
from Lawrenceburg, Tennessee to Hayes, Kansas. It's 14 hours, and in Kansas they don't even know how to spell Hayes. So it's a long trip. One of the things we'll throw in before the destination, our drivers might be a good topic to talk about, is driver rules, hours of service that we can. 10 hours is all we can allow one driver legally to drive.
Yeah, so 10 hours legally to drive, that equates to about 600 miles in a day's period with an 8. They have to have an 8-hour period off. They can be on duty for a total of 15 hours at a time. So and there's 70 hours over 8 days. So there's a lot of different rules that our drivers have to follow, which are put in place for safety.
Right. Make sure everybody's safe.
Everybody's
not
safe.
tired. Going through all those, because I've never driven a bus, but I can imagine I've driven a long way, and that can get pretty old pretty quickly. But so, what do you look for in like first class charter and the services that they provide? Why first class charter?
Well, I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm going to try to be lengthy on this story. When we started, we used a different company. I'm sorry, Bill, but we used a different company, and we went out to the Grand Canyon and the national parks in Utah. It was an absolutely beautiful trip. Well, they failed to tell me that their bus was about to lose their water pump, which is a vital, important part to a bus, and they kind of kept that from me. So we ended up spending an extra day in Junction City, Kansas, on the side of the road, waiting for this bus to be fixed. Luckily, the hotel was very accommodating to us. They were very nice to us. They allowed us to stay there for the whole day while this bus got fixed. Well, it was more of a principle thing. And then about a week later, I had another trip going out to Rapid City, where Mount Rushmore is in South Dakota, and I called first class. And the first question I asked, I said, "Hey, what happens when one of your bus breaks down on the side of the road?" And they shot back with an instant and said, "We send you another bus instantly." And so the reason I use first class is, number one, their consistency. They're true to their word. They are a God-fearing company, and I respect each and every employee there. And we have a great bus driver. Her name's Christy. And we get along. We laugh a lot. But it's the ethical, and it's the I know that they are true to their word, and they would do anything for me.
Right. That's great. That's really, I mean, that's the kind of reputation you want to build.
Sure, yeah.
Right. So that's really
It's a great partnership, and we partner with great companies like Adam and See America Tours and other tour operators that are very ethical up front. But same with us. We want to partner with the best we can partner with. And we keep great equipment, keep great drivers. We attempt to do the right things from day in and day out from our office staff. Chris is director of, what are you director of? Operations, or what do you do?
let's call it Director of Operations, I guess is
Yeah.
the official title, but also handle all the business development
Yeah.
and sales at this point.
So Chris does a great job for us and represents First Class well. And we have Kristen. That'll be the friendly voice that you hear if you call. And she's really good. Drivers are great. We train. A lot of times we'll bring drivers up through the ranks, and we have full-time, part-time drivers. And so if you're looking to consider a motor coach driving position, we sure could talk to you right now. But, it's we don't take everybody, but we'll sure take the best.
Absolutely. So, going back into the equipment, what is your brand that you like as far as the buses and the motor coach goes? Like, talk a little bit about that.
So we run all Prevost. Excuse me. We run all Prevost H345 motor coaches. That is a Canadian-built motor coach. You probably see these out running the roads with the entertainers, and that's their preferred vehicle also because of the quality, the styling, the reliability of the coach. And Bill made the choice several years ago to lock in with the Prevost coaches, and it has been a great partnership from that standpoint also.
Something big coming in yesterday, I think it was. Tell us about that.
We did. We were able to purchase a 2024 Prevost, and a little backstory on that. We've had this bus ordered for a year, and but it took a while to get in. They only manufacture around 1,100 buses a year in Quebec City. So a lot of it has to do with just quality standards. They produce about 2.5 to 3 buses a day. So it's really low, but they're really picky on their quality, right. And which reflects on the techs that put those buses together. So they could be at 4 and 5, but their quality would come down, so they've chosen not to do that. And we're really proud of our equipment. We do a fabulous job in the shop with our techs, and these things are checked and double checked before they go out. And but we're just proud of our company, proud of the direction we're going, the culture we have, the quality customers that we have coming our way. And so, it's good.
Absolutely. So we talked a little bit about drivers. How many do you have at the moment? I know there's a difference between full-time and part-time drivers based on everybody's schedule, but about how many people do you think you've got driving?
We're at 18 right now.
Okay. 18
drivers. That works out to about 2 per bus right now. We could stand to have 3 per bus. That would definitely help matters out because of the way we book now. Trips are a lot tighter together, and so they're coming and going a lot quicker, and so it really helps to have more people ready to go.
Right, especially with the hour limit that you can have. That way you don't have too big of stops and all that kind of thing to get people where they need to be a lot quicker.
Yeah,
I know that's really important.
I'll give you an example. Say Adam's running to Hays, Kansas, and on maybe a Yellowstone trip. We're going to talk about some destinations in a moment. But Adam probably would see, with a straight-through run, he would see 2 drivers. And so there's a lot of coordination that Chris does and Kristen do in the office of planning those coordinated stops. And so it's quite a puzzle.
Right. It's not a simple process to get all of those moving parts together, but that's definitely the goal, be a well-oiled machine. So, Adam, you said you were going to go into a little more of your story in a little bit. I think this is a good time for that.
Well, I'll kind of give you the abridged version of all this because I can get into it lengthily because I like to talk. But we started in our home church, carrying the seniors to places like the Ark, the Bible Museum in Washington, D.C., taking kids to where they want to go, Ark, Creation Museum. We did a lot of that. Had a lady walk up to me one time and say, you ought to start a tour company. And I said, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I don't like people. I don't. How do I do that? I'm joking. That's a joke. No, but my wife and I sat down and said, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this to the best of our ability. And so we picked New York City for our first official tour, which is, if you're in the tour business, it's a tough one,
right?
Because there's a lot of moving parts to a New York. So I said, if we can do a tour to New York City, we can do anything. Mm-hmm. And since then, we've been to, I think, 42 states. Including Alaska, and we're adding Hawaii in a week and a half. Mm-hmm. We're going to Hawaii. It's hard to get the bus to drive through the ocean, but we'll get there. But we've just been very fortunate in the people that we service, the patrons that we service, the first class service we get from first class, and we're set up to have a record year this year and next year. Mm-hmm. And but you're right, it all has to work together as a well-oiled machine, and it does. And so, but some of the destinations we have coming out, we have a Colorado trip in July that we're currently booking. We've got 2 buses going to Yellowstone this year. Mm-hmm. We're going to California. We have 2 buses out there. We're doing that as well. I shouldn't have said that because that's not with first class. I'm very sorry, but we're doing whoops.
That's on the left coast, right?
That's on the left coast. Oh, we've got a mystery trip. We're doing Christmas at Disney. And next year we've got we have a Florida experience where we're doing St. Augustine and Clearwater. We're going to Ireland next year. Places like we're doing the Grand Canyon and the National Parks tour, a New England trip next year. So I'm sure we'll have 2 buses on it. Alaska's next year. I mean, so we've got a lot of big plans, and we're adding to that as well. So, but the thing is, it takes a great support system for everything. Mm-hmm. to pull off everything, and I have never. And I'm saying this with knocking on some wood. I have never had a bad experience with first class charter, not one.
Wow, mm-hmm. That's great. About how many people go on these trips? I know, like, how many do you average? For your Colorado?
So, it depends.
Right.
I've taken as low as 25 to 30, and I've taken as much as 53 people. So, I mean, there's 56 seats on a bus. Mm-hmm. Normally, you don't want to fill those up because you want to give a few people a chance to kind of spread out a little bit and be a little bit more comfortable, because comfort is a big deal, especially touring across the nation. It's a huge deal, because sometimes you could be riding 13 or 14 hours to Hays, Kansas.
But, I want to talk about Hays, Kansas a little bit.
Why don't you
mention it a couple times? Let's actually go into
it's the running joke.
My wife and I, we actually go as passengers, and for years I would drive certain trips, and so we decided we wanted to go as passengers. Number one is because it was fun. Number 2 is for that experience that we've never sat in a passenger seat. And so we felt like we needed to learn how passengers travel. Okay. As the owners of the company, you need to know from all areas. So we did that, and we met Adam and the group in Hendersonville, Tennessee. And so it didn't dawn on me that we were going to Hays, Kansas. And secondly, it didn't dawn on me that there was not a spot driver. Spot driver means a relief driver that would be on down the road, and after the first driver's 10 hours, there would be the main driver. There was no coordination for that. So it finally dawned on me that I was the relief driver. Okay.
Thank you for that.
And you're welcome. And so we get about 9.5, 10 hours from the house, and Bill, it's your turn to drive. So I hop in, and it still didn't dawn on me how far it was. I thought 2 hours, and it was starting to get dark outside. And Adam, how much farther do we have? Oh, at least 4 hours to go to Hays, Kansas. So the only person I know in Kansas is Dorothy, right? And but we made it, right?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
And you may ask why we do that. So you got to get to where you're going.
Right.
So we were heading into Colorado, and you don't want to. I guess the simplest answer is you don't want to string those people along too much. You want to get them touring as fast as possible. So that's why we go the extra mile that first day.
Yeah, I can honestly say with Adam, you're going to eat at good places. You're going to sleep in good hotels. You're going to see some things that are off the beaten path that are very unique. So
and that's exactly what you want in any kind of travel experience. Is you don't want to go the same place as everybody else does.
Right.
You want to see the nuances, see the culture where you're going, just to really get into the experience. So that's a really cool thing that you got going there.
Yeah.
That's really good.
yeah.
All right, so Chris, give us a bus story. You've been in this bus business a long while. Give us an interesting bus story.
Well, I mean, we really don't have all night because I have at least 4 hours, 5 hours of bus stories.
We've got 40 minutes.
Well, a funny story that I can think of, and this is a back in the day story. There was a bus manufacturer from Mexico who brought these things to the U.S. and thought this was going to be a great idea. So they're going to sell these Mexican-built buses in the U.S. And the owner of the company that I was working with at that time was driving this bus down the road, and I kept hearing him stomp the floor, and I kept saying, "What is wrong? This is a new bus, understand?" I said, "Why are you stomping the floor? What is going on up there?" And he said, "There is a mouse on the floor up here, and I can't get him. I'm trying to stomp him and get him out of this bus." So keep going down the road a little bit farther, make a rest stop, we pull off. Well, I get up there and I'm looking for this mouse. He steps off, I'm looking for this mouse. And, well, come to find out, it wasn't a mouse. There was a hole in the floor. You could see the ground underneath you. And so every time you'd go under a line, he thought a mouse, you could see the lines on the highway. So every time there was a color flash, he would see that color flash, and it looked like a mouse running across the floor. So he stomped a hole in the floor, basically, trying to kill a mouse that didn't exist. So, I think that's a pretty funny story.
Yeah, that is. Oh, that is great. Bill, what have you got for us?
Well, all I can tell you is the very slim days of when we first started, and of 2007, and the vision was to buy a motor coach, and we'd use that coach for church groups and haul kids to camp. In those days, we had an old yellow school bus that we were running back and forth to Orange Beach and Pensacola and places, and it was hot summer days, and I'd see those little blonde ponytails flopping in the breeze on that old yellow school bus. And we came through Montgomery, it was 106 degrees, and I thought, we can do better than this. So praying through it, and we decided to buy our first motor coach, and didn't know what we were doing, didn't know anything about license or DOT or FTA or FMCSA or any of those acronyms that cost you a lot of money.
Right.
So we bought one and got started, and little did we know there's a whole lot more to this than we thought. But 6 months later, we bought two more. And so looking back, how the good Lord has taken care of us and provided the whole way, and it's not because of our faithfulness, but it's because of the faithfulness of the Lord. And the testament to that is the ability to haul 35,000 people in 1 year. So there's a lot of influence that you have, and so we're proud of that. And but my wife and I, mainly Jimmy Ann, she was the bookkeeper and the bus cleaner, and so and I would do most of the driving in those days, and we had some other drivers too, but it was pretty slim. And the friends that we've met in 2019, this is before COVID hit, there was close to 35,000 or 3,500, excuse me, operators in the country. Today, it's less than 1,600. So over half of the industry has not made it. But I do know that, like Adam, the ones that have made it, they're strong, they're tough, they want to be in the business, serving people. So it's pretty raw days, but we've gutted through it, and we're seeing some good days now. And I guess the relationships for me has probably been number one. I talk to people all over the United States, and a lot of days in Canada that we have friends in the industry. I talked to one in Pennsylvania this week, and just fantastic folks, from tour operators to bus owners, to drivers, everybody in the industry. It really is a big family.
Absolutely. About how many coaches do you have? I don't think I asked that question earlier.
So this 2024 brings us to 9.
To 9
So
coaches.
we're at 9 coaches now. Yes.
Okay, so this is a chance that if you want to go across the country in a bus to come on to First Class Charter, give them a call, get some questions, get your group together, and they can definitely help you out with that. And I know Chris has some more to say to that.
I have a lot to say to that. I kind of want to piggyback a little bit on the relationships and kind of how that has played into my life. Obviously, I can look back now and I can see where the Lord had His hand in every bit of it. But the relationship, what brought me to Lawrenceburg, is a relationship that was started probably 2011, 2012, when the company I was working for, when Bill and Jimmy Ann walked in the door one day, and the owner says, "Hey, this is Bill and Jimmy Ann, First Class Charter in Lawrenceburg." And that just kind of started a relationship, and we've stayed in contact through the years. And even through the years of me, I came here from Louisville, Kentucky. I had moved up there working with a company up there, and I can just see the steps and how those relationships have played out in my life specifically. So the relationships are just that's the greatest thing. And I've got friends all over. We had a conference call today with 50 other motor coach companies, young and upcoming, and I don't consider myself young and upcoming anymore, but young and upcoming folks that are in the industry. And so it's really a relational business, 100%.
Yeah. We've got some couple of cool things coming up. Adam's real cool. What he comes up with is always cutting edge, and he might say turn here or turn there, but we've got a couple of transportation assignments coming up that are pretty cool. One is going to be in D.C. Coming up. I want you to speak to that.
Sure.
Then also for the RNC, you've got one. You want to speak to those?
Yeah, sure. We again, we go back to our relationships. This is one of our good friends in the business. We've known them for several years, and they work with a tour company who brings students from all over the country to Washington, New York, and Philly for during the summer months, into May into June. And so we basically take those tours. We'll do 3 or 4 tours during a 3-week period. And we go to D.C., we stay in those areas, and then we tour those around, put them back on a plane, and they go back home. So that's a pretty cool deal. We're also going to help with the shuttle for the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee this year.
Oh, wow.
So we've got 5 buses going up for that. We did 4 buses. We shuttled the NBA All-Star Game in Indianapolis this year. So some pretty unique stuff. I mean, we had the opportunity to work at the Kentucky Derby this year. We didn't have any buses available because it's a pretty busy time of the year. But we have worked with the Kentucky Derby in the past. We've worked up there. It's just we're also doing a shuttle with 5 buses in Atlanta around all at the same time in June. So it's knowing people and making it all happen. So we're always here for our local folks too. So we really work hand in hand with our school system, with all the schools here in town, and we try to make sure that we're available for them. It doesn't always happen, but we try our best. So we really love our folks here in town, our senior center and our schools, our banks that have travel clubs, things like that.
So it's really it's a big part of the service industry.
It is.
Absolutely.
It's it's a major piece of transportation, and you stop and think about motor coach transportation and how many cars you take off the road, and you can figure miles per gallon per person if you want to, and 30 cars out of a parking lot when a motor coach pulls up that are not in that parking lot. So it's a real, very well kept secret in North America, and the European model, everybody rides a motor coach, even to work, or you see that model in Chicago, in D.C., in even New York, in certain areas in California, but it's coming. But we're really tied to our cars. One of the things I want to ask Adam about, and I'd like for him to speak to, is the dynamic that you see with passengers when you've got 30 to 50 traveling together instead of in separate cars. The dynamic that you see and the friendships that you make.
Oh my gosh!
In those maybe to Hayes, Kansas for 11 days.
I mean that's a lot of time with people, but no, you become a family. Not only is it great to travel with a group, because I would say, what do you think? 75 to 80% of all of my clientele are seniors, mainly because they don't want to drive. They don't feel safe going out by themselves and trying to, see the things they've always wanted to see, check off their bucket list, and it gives them a chance to kind of make friends, and then they start making friends, and they start wanting to go on every trip together, and so your clientele grows organically, just because you've formed friendships on the road, and it's humbling to see, because you share a part of, and you share that story with them, and they're calling you when you're sitting at home, hey, we want to go get dinner. I'm like, no, I want to see y'all on the road. So, but no, it's a very fulfilling business, because another thing is a percentage of a lot of my travelers are widows, a large percentage, because they want to travel, and unfortunately they don't have their spouse there anymore to travel with, and it's a great honor to keep those folks safe and to show them the country or show them overseas, and I just love seeing their faces, because it's worth every minute of travel to see their faces when they see something that's just unbelievable that they would have never saw if they would have never went on one of your trips. And I mean, and partially that's a ministry to us.
It is.
Yeah. It really is, because even though I joked I don't like people, I love people, and I love being with the people and talking with the people. I don't just sit up front and tell them to get off and on the bus. I go visit. I talk to them. I want to know who they are. And so not only does this industry provide a service, it also provides the light. It really does. And so I'm not ashamed to talk about that, and I know y'all aren't either. So, but it's a very humbling experience to get to help and serve people and see their faces when they see all of these destinations we go to.
It really goes back to why you do what you do, because you've got to do something, right? You've got to make a living, and you've got to work and provide. But it really speaks a lot about you by what you choose to do. How you choose to make a living. It's always profit at the service of others, not the expense of others, right? And so that's a really great thing to speak to.
I think it's fantastic. We talk about that a lot, and I've made statements before of trusting who we are versus a group being in somebody else's care, on somebody else's motor coach. I would much rather trust us in a tough situation than I had some of these others. But I think that speaks how much trust I have in our people, our drivers and our staff. And just the millions of dollars now that we have invested is a small piece, but safety is very big for us. I'll give you an example, Tyler. Every 90 days, I have on my cell phone FMCSA inspectors who happen to be our local highway patrol officers that are motor coach certified. So they'll get a text, and I want you guys to come by and do an inspection. So I want everybody a little bit nervous when they come in, and a little bit on cue. And another example that I broke to Kristen and Chris just last week is we've got a mock audit, FMCSA audit, coming up in August, and of course the real one will be next year, every third year. So we spent a lot of time on records. We spent a lot of time on service, on safety, and also some mock play through those situations, just for safety, to keep everybody on their toes and knowing what's going on. So we just so proud of our drivers. I was telling Roger, who in front up here, the radio station, he was working with weather. Some have been listening to the weather this afternoon.
Few of us.
Blowing through. And Roger Wright was giving me a lesson on radar a few moments. Well, a few weeks ago, we had drivers at the Opryland Mall, and through that tornado deal that ripped through Hendersonville and some of those places up there. And just the reaction that our drivers and that made for passenger protection during those times, without any instruction from the boss. They stepped up and they took care of business and made sure everybody was safe. And I believe that's a big thumbs up for who we hire and the character of people that we're surrounded with at First Class.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about our techs, your techs there at First Class Charter, the folks that keep everything running smoothly.
Yeah, we've got a couple of new ones. We got Keith Franklin. He's our maintenance director and doing a fabulous job. And Keith has done several things for us. And we've assigned him to just a coordinator position. We're so pleased to have him. We're also pleased to have a young guy, 26 or 28 years old, Houston Heath. And I love telling Houston, we've got a problem. And so it's fun. He's a good guy and easygoing, smart. And so many of these vehicles nowadays have multiple computers on them. We have what we call multiplex on these systems. And there's not an hour goes by that Houston doesn't have a computer or his laptop hooked up reading the diagnostics on all these motor coaches. Everything from transmissions to air conditioning to even the windshield wipers, how they operate. You can look and see the function of those on those laptops now. So a lot of technology, a lot of new things, and a lot of smart people that's needed to run a good company. Yep.
Absolutely. I know those buses, they're decked out with cameras, aren't they?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So we have a system, it's called Samsara, that keeps up with our electronic logs. It also has forward-facing and rear-facing cameras. So we can see the driver. It can basically help teach the driver how to drive more safely. It can also protects us in the event of an incident, accident, or anything like that. Plus, being facing into the coach, it also records the driver's actions and the things that they do. We have really used it. Has been a great tool helping drivers just learn how to be better drivers, because they don't realize, and I say I speak for myself as a driver, you don't realize how you drive until you watch yourself drive. And so there are things that you can pick up and gain from that that will obviously make you a safer driver and our drivers a safer driver. And also helps us, police those things and make sure, where we can teach them to do things better. Now, our new one came in, and it has a 360-degree camera So we can see the sides, the back, and the front all the way around. So pretty impressive system. It also has a hard drive on the bus that keeps that video. So along with our Samsara system. So we have that in place too. So it's technology on these buses is far beyond what we've ever seen.
Yeah, I'll give you one, Tyler. This happened last week in Orlando. We had a bus that we call it throwing a code, and some familiar with the DPF systems now. It's to save the atmosphere and all that. So we had a bus that what we call through a code. So Chris caught it, and we got to talking about it. Should we do? Should we bring it on home? You're 600 miles away from home. How does it need to be handled? So we made the determination to go ahead and take it to the shop. The reason we knew about that code is from these electronics that we're talking about. Right. The driver didn't even have a clue that anything was a possibility. So Chris sees it on his phone. He gets that diagnostic readout on his phone and says, "Hey, what do you think?" And so the next morning we had the driver take it to the shop. They diagnosed it, cleared the code. They come on home. No questions asked. Customer doesn't even know there was an issue. So those are things that are very, very good, especially on fantastic electronics and fantastic equipment like the Prevo equipment. And the reason we do that is to take care of fantastic customers like Adam Wagner and See America Tours.
Absolutely. What kind of fuel mileage does a bus get? You see that big old bus. I'm just curious. How many miles per gallon does that bus get?
So we run on average between 6.5 and 7.5 miles per gallon. We have seen 9.5 to 10.
Wow.
Now that has to be a really good driver who's taking it easy and not jumping on the starts, and
That's coming down from the Rockies. Ain't it?
just drop it in neutral. No, I'm just kidding. But no, when they're running and we don't have a lot of idle time, we can see 7.5, upwards of 8 on a regular basis. That sounds crazy with a 225 gallon fuel tank.
Yeah, what's one fill up cost there?
Well,
Times 4.
Times 4?
Yeah, $1,000, about $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
we typically, we typically don't see them run down that far on fuel. Drivers are pretty skeptical of gauges and electronic things, and that's a smart way to be. So start filling up after you've run about 700 or 800 miles, or get to approximately half a tank. You start looking for somewhere to fill that thing up. So.
Wow, that's great. Adam, what else you got?
What do you want?
Anything.
Talk about some of your
upcoming
areas,
trips.
your
Oh my
upcoming
gosh.
trips and places that you like to go.
Well, you can see all of our trips on See America Tour, seeamericatour.com, which has all of our trips for this year, all of our trips for next year. We've already completed 2 ARC trips back to back this year, as in ARC and Creation Museum. What were you going to say? Ask me.
I want you to tell what that is. Some people don't know on the radio.
So, ARC and Creation Museum, a guy named Ken Ham opened up a life-size replica of the Ark of Noah. I almost said Moses. The Ark of Noah up in Williamstown, Kentucky. And he also did a museum. He said, we've got all these natural history museums. We've got museums for dinosaurs, museums for America. Why can't we have a museum for creation? So he put this huge complex up in Erlanger, Kentucky. And it's right outside of Cincinnati, and it talks about basically the book of Genesis. Everything that you want to know about the Bible is right there in Genesis. So he's got this big creation museum there, and so we do the Ark, we do the Creation Museum, and we tie it in with the Cincinnati Zoo. With the animals. It's pretty cool. People love it, and that we've already done 2 of those tours this year. We're getting ready to go to Hawaii next week. We have about 25 to 30 going to Hawaii. Then we go to Key West in May, full trip. Lancaster, Amish country in May, full trip. First class is servicing that. I'd have them service Hawaii, but I can't get them over there. We're doing Colorado in July. I'm ready for everybody to sign up. So if you're listening, sign up for Colorado in July. What's the dates? 15th through the 24th. 2 buses to Yellowstone. If you've never been to Yellowstone, Yellowstone's unbelievable. You won't believe your eyes. You're like on a different planet when you see Yellowstone National Park. We do Mount Rushmore. We do Devil's Tower, Deadwood, all bucket list destinations. We're actually going into North Dakota this year. We're doing a big trip in California, a mystery trip, which entails what you sign up for it and you don't know where you're going. You find out when you get on the bus to where you're going, and people, it's just about full. So it's something people want to do. And then next year like I said, we're doing Christmas at Disney. We spend New Year's in Disney World. You go to all the parks, and I could ramble and ramble and ramble about all this, but we're doing that. Florida, the national parks of Utah, Grand Canyon next year. Ireland, we're going to Ireland with a great company called Premier World Discovery. They facilitate that. I'm actually thinking about adding another Yellowstone trip, but doing a little different next year and doing Yellowstone and Glacier National Park and doing that. We're doing a fantastic New England trip. Well, I'm sure we'll fill 2 buses up for that. I have no doubt, because people just love New England. We'll go to Niagara Falls on that trip, and then we'll do Christmas in New York again. And who knows what else I'm going to add for next year. So
what are the different ways people can get in touch with you? I know you have your website, but what else do you have?
Well, so you can get online on our website. You can call us at, I can never remember the phone number. It's 1-800-981 something 981-4820. We have an email, info@seeamericatour.com. Now, when I say see America Tour, some people think I mean the letter C, and it's not that. It's like C, like I'm looking at you. SEE Americatour.com. And so they can get on there, full descriptions of all of our itineraries, and every trip that we try to do, we do it with First Class Charter.
That's great. And how do we get in touch with you, Chris?
So we can be reached at 931-762-5778. Go to our website, First Class Charter, all spelled out, .net. My email address is Chris, CHRIS, at firstclasscharter.net. So there are several ways to get in touch with us. We're right there. And I just want to take a minute. I want to plug, talking about Adam here. If you are looking at, you want to take a trip to the Ark, your church, you've got your Sunday school class, or I think the official word is like life group now. You can't say Sunday school anymore. Well, it is Lawrence. Lawrence County, we're still pretty conservative, so it may still be Sunday school.
Got your share of back row Baptists.
That's true. So no, and if you get grouped, you don't have to be from the same church. If you've got your friends that go to a church down the road, and I mean, we even mix denominations on these buses if you'd like. I mean, the Church of Christ and the Baptist can go on the same, and the Methodist, we are no respecter of person. So. If you're looking at putting together a trip like that, wanting to go somewhere, get in touch with us. We'll get you in touch with Adam. That's a great trip.
We customize trips, so if anywhere you want to go, we'll put it together for you. We're good at it.
That's great. So it's not just going to certain different places. You can customize, change up different things for any group that wants to go.
That's right, and we'll do that.
New Orleans, we run New Orleans or Waco, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about that, or San Antonio. We go to all those places now. I think last year we were in D.C. Like 6 or 8 weeks in a row, and we had bus after bus in D.C. So
Orlando's a big.
We got 2 or 3 buses leaving in the morning early for Orlando, and then we've got a group of buses leaving for D.C. At the end of the week, so we're spread out.
So when you go to places like DC, what are the main places you go? Because it's got to be very similar on a lot of these trips going to these big places. What do you see most often in places like DC?
So when you go to DC, the Smithsonian's, those are very important. A A lot of our groups like to go to the Holocaust Museum.
Okay.
And obviously all the memorials and the monuments, the Lincoln Memorial, Arlington Cemetery, the Capitol Building, the White House. Typically the White House is just a drive-by and you can walk out, take a picture out front. What a lot of people don't realize about D.C. is you can actually get in touch with your congressperson, and they will work with you, and you can get a picture on the Capitol steps with your representative or senator.
Really?
So they can arrange different tours for you also while there. So a lot of people don't realize you can do that also.
Yeah.
We went into the theater, with John Wilkes Booth, and where Lincoln was assassinated. It's a really cool story, and actually sat where John Wilkes was sitting, and a lot of cool places like that. A lot of good restaurants. Just a beautiful lot of monuments that Korean War, World War II, Lincoln Memorial, different ones that. Everybody needs to see sometime in their life. They need to see though, and they also need to see Hays, Kansas.
Hays, Kansas.
What is in Hays, Kansas?
Nothing.
That's what I thought. That's exactly what
A Hampton Inn.
It's the middle of nowhere.
That was synchronized. Did y'all practice that before we got in?
I'll be pulling into a venue on the road, and I'll text Bill. I'll say, pulling into Hays.
Hays, Kansas. That's right. Yeah, I was so thankful to see St. Louis and a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Right?
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
great.
lot of that is going to see the history of places. That's one of the big things that it seems like, from the New England trips to even the Creation Museum and all those different kind of historical things that you just want to go and see. And we're here to help you do that, right, at First Class Charter and See America Tour. We're getting close to the end. We've got a few minutes left, probably about 10 minutes left. So, Chris, you got any closing things for the show? Anything you want to let everybody know?
I'm just glad we've got the opportunity to be on the air and talk about what we do. We enjoy it. I hope that that comes across on the radio, that we enjoy what we do, and that we're here for you. We're here for you, whatever we can do to help. And that's our biggest thing, is we want to help any way we can.
Yep. Get you from point A to point B, and they may be a long way away.
It could be Hays, Kansas. I mean, who knows? Or if you want to go to Bangor, Maine, we
We've
can
been
go
there.
there too. We've been there.
Nothing there.
Nothing there either.
I heard it was in a song one time, but
Yeah.
King of the Road.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
One of the things that I want to share too, Tyler, is motor coach transportation is as much transportation and hospitality mixed. And when you bring those two together, when you have a fantastic motor coach company with a fantastic tour operator, it's a good mix. So you're able to pull it together and really have a good time for people. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Adam, what have you got for us to end the show out?
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to be on the show with Bill and Chris, and it's really an honor. But if you are looking for a way to get out, see America, see some amazing destinations, we would love to facilitate that for you, and we would love to take you on a journey across the United States of America over to, if you want to go international, we do those types of things too. And we would love to see you down the road. And if you want to get a hold of us, that's seeamericatour.com, info@seeamericatour.com. That's our email, and our phone number, 1-800-981 something, 4820 maybe. I can never remember. I'm right, 4820. I got to look in my book, but
You never call yourself.
I never call myself.
So, yeah.
No, Albert Einstein says Einstein said I never learned my phone number because I can just look it up. So I use the same thing.
All right, and Chris, how can they get in touch with you?
Again, it's Chris, CHRIS, at firstclasscharter.net. Firstclasscharter.net is the website, and 931-762-5778.
All right, I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in to the First Class Radio Hour, First Class Charter Hour. Thanks for coming in. Thank y'all for all talking with us. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Y'all have a great day.
Great day.
FD Lawrenceburg, broadcast services of Prospect Communications.
Now commencing.
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
So far, so good.
With guest host Jim Jackson.
I like it.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
We all learned